What is good, everybody? It is Mikemanwba here, your coach of the West Bromwich Altarias, and we are here on the hottest day of the year so far with a closed windows and no fan for the first week of the TBF, the Terminus Battle Factory. We are facing off against Parkzy, good friend of mine. You'll know him from the DGBA. With me and probably a couple of other leagues as well. Got a little bit of a friendly rivalry going on. We are currently 1-1 against each other in all competitions. This is the third matchup between the two of us. So let's jump straight in because, like I said, it is very hot. I'm hoping to get this done as quick as possible so I can throw the windows open and get a fan on in here. But let's jump straight in. We start off with our Gallade. He starts off with his Nidoking, but immediately switches out into the Parkzy, expecting a Zen Headbutt. We go for the Earthquake because I'm looking at his team. He has no ground immunities on his team, no Flying type, no Levitate users, with Ribombee obviously being Bug and Fairy. And I believe the Shield does stability, so no immunities to ground. I went for the Earthquake. I then switch into Blastoise here because I am Choice Scarf on my Gallade. I don't want to keep hitting Earthquakes. He goes for the Earthquake in return. On my Blastoise switch, I just kick a quarter. It is a defensive Blastoise. Sorry, not a quarter, a fifth. Here, we both go for the Toxic. Quagsire is something I was kind of concerned about because I knew it would be unaware, due in fact to the fact I have Salamence. Which obviously has Moxie or Dragon Dance and stuff like that, and Gallade can get Swords Dance as well, so I knew he'd bring that, as well as in the team, when we were drafting these teams, me and Parkzy had a bit of back and forth over our teams and what we were going to draft, and I knew he drafted this Quagsire specifically for the unaware. So we trade Toxics here. I get a nice little bit of chip on him, he gets a bit of chip on me, but all is good. I then switch into my Florges as he switches into his Ribombee. Was a little bit concerned about being in with the Florges on the Ribombee because obviously Ribombee gets Quiver Dance. I didn't want him getting a Quiver Dance off with my Florges in there because Florges isn't going to do much against Ribombee, especially when it's not an offensive Florges. So I switched into Entei as he predicted the switch and went into Nidoking. Or I guess he might not have been predicting the switch, he might have just been bringing it in on the Florges, but in my eyes there was never any reason to keep Florges in on the Ribombee because that was a trade I was going to lose all day. So now he has his Nidoking on my Entei and I have to switch out again into Gallade. He goes for the Stealth Rocks, the first hazards of the game, as he then switches back into Ribombee as I go for the knockoff, revealing that the Ribombee was actually Focus Sash. That is now gone. Blastoise then comes in here and I just hit a... sorry, we both switch at the same time, I should say. And I go for the Scold, trying to get a lot of damage off on this Nidoking. I was considering going for the Rapid Spin because I do have Rapid Spin on the Blastoise, and it might have been a good idea to go for that because obviously Entei gets hit by it, Galvantula gets hit by it, and Salamence gets hit by it, all for 25%. But Nidoking was a bit of a threat, especially if it was Scarfed. Same with his Kyurem Black. I was scared both of them would be Scarfed. So I wanted to just get rid of the Nidoking straight off the bat. Unfortunately, the Scalding does 94% and we don't get the burn. And then once with the leftovers and the Toxic happens, we're both left with not a lot. And he finishes off Blastoise with the Earth Power. So unfortunately, the first death of the team goes to Blastoise. So next up I bring in the Galvantula. He actually switches out into Blissey, expecting like a Bug Buzz. Obviously Blissey having that high special defense wouldn't have taken much for that. But I kind of thought he would try and preserve his Nidoking. And I knew that Nidoking wouldn't necessarily do too much back to Galvantula, even with Earth Power. At least I think I calculated that. If not, it might have been a massive mistake. But I go for the Sticky Webs on the Blissey switch. And I go into my Florges. Part of this was because I was expecting the Thunder Wave. So I come into Florges, which is actually my aromatherapy user. Unfortunately, I didn't get it in time to aromatherapy the Blastoise. As I go for a Wish here, just in case he went for like a Seismic Toss with Blissey or something. He Mega Evolves his Blastoise here, goes for the Scald. As I go for the aromatherapy, getting rid of that paralysis and getting my health back from the Wish. Wish Protect, or like Wish, is something I don't often use on Florges, but it's nice to have that option here, as he rapid spins the the webs as I go for another Wish, and then switch into Galvantula as he switches into his Ribombee. So I now have a full health Galvantula again. He then goes for the Sticky Webs as I thunder and kill his Ribombee. So the first kill on our team goes to Galvantula, which is probably something that most people wouldn't have predicted at the start of the match. Galvantula not having the best matchup. But now he has Sticky Webs and Stealth Rocks on the field, which is a bit of a concern as he goes into his Kyurem Black. So he goes for... Sorry, I go for the Thunder, and he goes for the Ice Beam. I'll be honest, I could have gone for Bug Buzz here for a bit of extra damage. It would have done about 10% more. But I just really wanted to try and get a Paralysis on this Kyurem. Because obviously that would very much neuter it, especially if it was a Choice Scarf. It gets rid of that speed boost. It turned out it wasn't Choice Scarf. But if it was a massive threat. Also, a Paralysis is always nice because he might have missed a hit and we could have got the kill potentially. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen. We go for another one and we don't get it again. But he goes for the Iron Head here, revealing that he is mixed and that he has something to hit the Florges. We go into Gallade here. It is Choice Scarfed, but with the webs it would be slightly lower. As we go for the Close Combat, as he switches into Nidoking. So his Nidoking goes down and Gallade has itself a kill as well. He then goes back into his Kyurem. I switch into Entei, expecting the Ice Beam. However, he goes for the Fusion Bolt because he is obviously mixed. And then he goes for the All-Out Pummeling, which personally... I know it's for the Mega Aggron if I'd have brought that, but I think it was a bit of a weird choice to bring because all it really hit was Mega Aggron, and he should have had stuff for the Mega Aggron in terms of like an Earth Power from Kyurem, or his Nidoking and his Quagsire should be able to handle it fairly well. So it was an interesting bring. I can see why he did it, and it definitely avoided the potential Fusion Bolt miss. So Entei goes down without getting to do its thing, unfortunately. I then go back into Gallade as he switches into a Mega Blastoise. We go for the Close Combat, which does 48%. And then obviously we will outspeed. We go for another Close Combat. Unfortunately, we don't get a high enough roll. It lives on 2% and it knocks out our Gallade with a critical hit Scald, but the critical hit didn't matter because we were of course at -2 special defense. And now I'm looking at this very low health Blastoise, and I do a bit of calcs, and I'm calculating that even if he switches out this Blastoise, the only thing that can take a hit is his Quagsire or his Blissey, and even then, after if he goes into Quagsire, I can take it out with the Flyinium Z, the Supersonic Sky Strike. If it's Blissey, it's not going to be able to take an Outrage, so we would hit to kill it in 2 anyway. And I'm looking for Moxie boosts here. If he'd have gone into his Quagsire or his Blissey, I could have gone into Florges, and I could have wished and potentially got Salamence back up to full health. That was an option. But here we just go for an Earthquake. It was our safest play. I could have gone for an Outrage, but I didn't want to lock myself in if that Quagsire came in, because Quagsire or Blissey could actually kill with an Ice Beam. Potentially, if they were invested. I think Blissey killed anyway. Quagsire had the potential to kill. So now Salamence has that Moxie boost, and I'm calculating it, and it's a roll on whether an Outrage will kill Blissey or not. And I'll be honest, I was a bit scared. I didn't want to risk the roll not getting it. So I actually go here for the Flyinium Z, which was actually here for the Quagsire, but I had to use it on the Blissey. I couldn't risk it going down. So we are now at +2. But obviously his Quagsire is that unaware mon, and he must have been thinking that because of going into Blissey first. He didn't want his Quagsire taking that Flyinium Z and then him having nothing for it, because obviously if I'd have killed the Quagsire, I'd have been at +2. The Blissey had no way of living, and Salamence definitely would have swept. Whereas here, his Quagsire stood a chance. If I'd have gone for like an Outrage or anything else, I think I'd have been in a lot of trouble here. But luckily, I decided to go for the Fly, as he goes for the Ice Beam, showing that he did have Ice Beam on it. But luckily, we get an extra turn of toxic damage that we wouldn't have usually had. We go for the Fly here. It doesn't do much, but we actually live the Ice Beam, as he takes more toxic damage. And now his Quagsire is low enough that we can afford to just go for an Outrage, which we do, taking out the Quagsire. And then all he has left is his Kyurem, which I know I outspeed because of the Galvantula. I forgot to mention it when the Galvantula was in. But when I go for the Thunders on the Kyurem Black with my Galvantula, that was, not only was I trying to get a paralysis, it was also to see whether his Kyurem was scarfed or not. Because non-scarfed Kyurem, if it was anything else, if it was a Z move or anything, then it wouldn't have outsped Galvantula. But if it was scarfed, then it definitely would have. And then when Galvantula outsped, we knew that the Kyurem wasn't scarfed, and that Salamence would outspeed it, and that it would win the 1v1, which it did here, as we go for Outrage again, obviously taking out the Kyurem. So luckily we managed to get a nice 2-0 victory versus Parkzy. Another very good competitive match. Salamence getting 4 kills, Galvantula getting 1, and who was it that got the other? Let me double check. It was whoever killed Nidoking, which was Gallade. Gallade got it with the close combat. So yeah, a good battle overall. A very good match against Parkzy, who I think has the potential for a really good season this year. Hopefully we're going to have one too. Next week I think we have TMFC of the, I think it's the Sork Paolo, or so, it's something along those lines, Sork Paolo I think. So we'll see you next Sunday for the team builder for that battle, and next Monday for the actual battle itself. Thank you all for watching this video, and I'll see you guys soon.